Hey, how you guys doing today? It is me. They do call me Kraken. We are here in my workshop in Weatherford, Texas, where things just are not going the way that I would like them to go. And, you know, that's just kind of the way it is with this old woodworking thing. Sometimes things go great. Everything goes according to plan. And sometimes it doesn't. And often it doesn't. And when it doesn't, a lot of times you can fix it. And I've often said that that's the true test of a woodworker, isn't that he can do something perfect the first time, but that he can fix it when it doesn't come out perfect. And honestly, you know, speaking about perfection, nobody's perfect, right? As much as we would like to think we are, nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. Sometimes, as Bob Ross used to say, sometimes those are happy little mistakes that actually come out working pretty good in your favor, and sometimes they're not. And this last issue that we had was definitely not one of those. So we'll give it a little bit of time before we get into it. See if anybody drops in and see if anybody wants to see what we have going on here. I'll post about the mishap today on Facebook before I go to bed tonight. But meanwhile, we are trying to get things to work in our favor. And though it may sound like it in the background, I honestly do not live but next to a racetrack. Although some of these people seem to think so. I also have not fixed my mallet, which, if you guys were watching the very first live when I started working on these things, you would have saw that it broke on me while I was doing this exact same thing right here. I will say that I do have a little bit of concern about this one because we've got a couple deep cracks in it, but as long as it holds together, we'll be all right. This is not the cookie I was working on the other day. And again, if you watched my first live video and the video I posted earlier today, you'll be able to tell this is not the same piece. And the reason for that is part of why things just aren't going all that great for me tonight. Because I was working on this piece and I needed to get a measurement on the bottom of it. And I stood it up on end so that I could get a measurement on the bottom of it. And I turned around. When I turned around, it rolled off the table. And unfortunately, that one had an open-ended top. So there was a little bit of flex in it. And one of the things I was working on doing was giving it some support to get rid of that flex. But unfortunately, it landed in such a manner that it broke it apart in 3 different places. And though I probably could put it back together again, ultimately I don't think it's really going to work in my favor to try to put it back together. So we are just going to change gears. And we're going to do the same thing that we were planning on doing with that one, provided we don't run into the same problem here. We're going to do the same thing with this piece here. So we will get the same result. God willing, provided this one doesn't come apart on me also. We'll get the same result that we were going for. It's just now I'm only going to get one of them instead of two of them. And that is, for me anyway, just a little bit frustrating, right? So, got somebody in here today. Somebody's watching. And I do appreciate whoever's coming in. A lot of times, the Facebook Live will tell me who is watching, but sometimes that takes a while, and it doesn't always show up. So, if you come in, say hello, and thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. All right. So we're working on hollowing this one out. It's a little bit of work. The thing is I was at the last stage of building on the other one. I was almost done with it. I needed to do some sanding to it. There was some holes I needed to drill in it. You know, there was a little bit more work to do to it, but I was almost finished with it. I was right at that end game being finished, you know what I mean? And then it rolled off my table because I left it standing up with no support, and it broke into 3 pieces. And with all the problems that I had with that one, I just decided that it honestly wasn't worth going in and trying to salvage it anymore. Obviously, you know, that one just wasn't meant to be. And to be perfectly honest with you, I would rather that happen here in my shop than to happen in a customer's house, you know what I mean? So, it is what it is, right? Jason Allen, how's it going, brother? It looks like that's who dropped in here to say hey, or dropped in here to watch. Woo! Well, I tell you what, this is some freaking work, buddy. I haven't repaired my mallet either. Those of you guys that may have been watching the first live when I started this, the mallet that I built had a knot hole that ran right through the handle, and unfortunately that was a weak spot, and I knew it was there. I knew it was going to be a problem. I was hoping it wouldn't be, but I had a pretty good feeling that it was going to be a problem, and I left it instead of, you know, replacing the handle. And it broke on me. And then I didn't fix it yet. I will fix it, but I didn't fix it yet. God damn. Man, I'm about to have to change gears and go to the sander and let the sander finish this off. I've got most of the really bad stuff out of it. Got a little bit more to go, but man, this stuff is getting pretty hard to knock out, especially right in here. So let me see if I can get some more of this out. Yeah, some of this is still coming out. We'll show you guys what we're doing with this. Hopefully I can just build this whole thing tonight, right? I finished the orders that I was working on. I've got one more request that I'm going to start as soon as I got some daylight where I can go out and go through some wood. I've got somebody that wants me to make a Texas themed birdhouse. And it's one of the things I've had on my list to do for a little bit, but I got hit with several orders back to back, and that's what I was kind of concentrating on. And to be perfectly honest, I let it slip my mind for a few days, and then the customer messaged me the other day and was like, you know, have you had a chance to work on that? I was like, fortunately not. I haven't. And I'm going to do it out of cedar. And I've got this ash cedar over here that I could use, but I don't know that I want to use that. I think I want to use red cedar. And all my red cedar is under tarps outside. And so I haven't dug through it yet to go through the pieces that I want. You know, I had somebody come over here a week or so ago, a couple weeks ago, last weekend, I guess it was, last Saturday, last Sunday, anyway, last weekend at some point. I had somebody come over here and buy some slabs from me. And man, I completely forgot about the fact that I've got a whole shit ton of cedar out there that's ready to go. But a lot of that cedar has got rot in it. And really I've kind of got it set aside for epoxy work later, for doing epoxy tables and all that kind of stuff. And I wouldn't have thought that they would have been really interested in a lot of that, but I should have at least let them know it was here so they could take a look at it if they wanted to. Because I really don't know if they're working with epoxy or not. And I might have had something in there they could work with. All right. We are getting really close to being where I want to be on this. There we go. We're getting that weak stuff out of there. And this don't have to be perfect. I'm not worried about it being perfect. We're gonna go over it with a sander anyway, and as much as possible knock it down. Probably wouldn't hurt to hit it with the grinder. This is definitely a lot of work. I use a CNC machine for a lot of stuff, and I've got a few detractors that are like, you know, CNC work isn't even woodwork, you know, it's computer work. And you know, I'm sure everybody has an opinion about that. You know, just like you can say using a laser engraver is not woodwork. It's, you know, laser engraving. All tools have their place, but I get more than enough woodwork done that honestly I think I can justify using the CNC whenever I want to use the damn CNC. There's one thing I do not lack on, and that is getting woodwork done. The traditional old style woodworking. Just like this stuff right here. All right, I think that is mostly going to do us, I think. least on the outside. Well, let me get rid of this bark right here. I mean on the inside. I said outside, I meant inside. Wow, that stuff there's just falling right off. All right. Okay. Next question is going to be, what is the most effective way, I think, to get this inside? There we go. I think this is going to be our bottom side right here. Yeah, I do think that's going to be our bottom side. So this will probably be the back side. We'll make this the front side. All right. This is one of those times when I probably ought to be using a respirator. The problem is that I don't know how clean my respirator is as far as dirt goes. Last time I tried using this shit, I was just breathing in dirt and dust. And man, I can't handle that. Let me blow this out of here real quick. Let's see if maybe this is going to be usable. Excuse all the noise. And I can't talk worth the shit with the respirator on. That's not too terribly bad, really. All right. Let's get back over here. It's not too bad. Last time I tried wearing this thing, I was just sucking in dirt. And I couldn't deal with that, so I had to take it off. I don't want to be super aggressive just yet. If this doesn't really work out all that great, then I'll switch to a different sander. That's 150 grit. I want something a little bit more aggressive. That's 120 grit. I should have a 60 or an 80 grit over here. Yeah, I think that one right there will work. Hopefully this sander will be okay. If not, I'm going to have to go with a more aggressive sander. This one's going to cut it. Yeah, I don't think this one's going to cut it. Problem is I don't know if I have enough hands. I don't know if I got enough hands available to use the next one. And I don't know that clamping this thing down is going to help a whole hell of a lot. But what we're going to try to do here, I'm going to try to put a couple clamps like so, going this way like this. Alright, that'll give me a little bit of stability anyway. Let's go with one of these shorter ones over here. Move this out of the way. I was a little bit disappointed. Alright, we'll try that, see how that works. I was a little bit disappointed when that other one rolled off and broke. Let's go ahead and unplug this just to get this cord out of my way. Go ahead and get another piece of sandpaper for this one. My old dust collection situation around here really sucks. I'm working on it, but I'm not getting very far. Yeah, that works nicely. That works pretty nice. Unfortunately, looks like I'm going to have to add at least one more clamp. We just need to get a little bit more support on this. But I'll tell you what, if you ever want to remove material fast, this is definitely the way to do it. I don't need to, nor do I want to take everything off. I do want to leave quite a bit of this on here. I just want the really dead rough stuff off. Come on. It's hard doing this when you only have two hands. You need like 4 hands to do this. Alright, let's see here. Let me straighten that out a little bit like so. There we go. A little rough getting into some of those spots. We'll get in there with the hand sander and we'll do some hand sanding also. Should take this one off. Move it down around here. we're just doing right now just a really rough sanding. We're taking all the kind of the sharp stuff off and kind of softening these edges a bit. This sander is super aggressive, and it can be a little difficult to handle. I think that we're good on this side for right now. What we're going to do is we're just going to kind of flip this around. We're going to hit this other side. Alright, that'll do for right now. I'm going to take these clamps off of here. There's one part of this that I'm not super happy with. And that is this piece right over here. This section right here. And so what I think I'm going to do, so I think we're going to take the chisel on that one again, and we're going to try to knock some of that off of there. So we're going to try to take that little bit out. Okay, that'll work. I like that a little bit better. We'll come in here with the chisel and let me see if I can get a smaller chisel up in there. I think I've got another one right here. That one ought to work. Let's see. Yeah, that'll work. Let's just see if we can take a little bit more of that out of there. And I think I'll be a little bit happier with that right there. Go ahead and get, well, I got this little one out. We're going to knock this little ridge off right here, and let's see if we can clean this up a little bit right Right there. Yeah, see, I think that's a lot better. That is a whole lot better right there. Just taking that little bit out, I think really clean that up a lot. It might honestly be worth trying to take just a little bit more out right here. Wow, boy, that piece is solid. Just take a little bit more out. We got this part right here, and that's kind of, it needs to come out. It really does, because this is some pretty punky wood in here. But that's just going to put me right back in the same situation I was just in. And that is that now I got to kind of level this off a little bit. We got to get rid of this stuff right here. Generally, it's not too hard to get off, as long as you don't try to bite off too much at once. It's when you try to bite off too much at one time that it gets to be a little bit more difficult. So what we need to do now is we need to come all the way around through here, and we just need to kind of bring that out right around in here where we've got this going. We just kind of need to go ahead and take all of that out, about all of that out right there. If y'all can see that, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's this line right here. So we're going to go ahead and do that here. I'm still a little irritated about the last one breaking on me. I'm not trying to brag or anything. I'm just trying to say that I don't have a whole lot of failures. And so when I do have one, it just kind of, it bothers me a bit. And the last piece that I was working on was definitely a failure. You know, and the worst thing about it is that had that not happened, I would have been done with that tonight. Matter of fact, I'd have probably been putting a finish on it right now. We just about got this down to that line that I want to be at. And then we'll go through and we'll hit this section right here with the sander again. And we'll even all that out a little bit. There we go. I don't mind the cracks and breaks in the wood. I really think that adds to what I'm doing right now. And in the long term, I don't think it's going to hurt one bit. But some of this stuff just had to come out. It just really took away from what I was doing and didn't look as good as I wanted it to look. All right. All right. So we've taken a good chunk of that out, which left us with this kind of jagged turn right here. So we're going to take that out also. We want a kind of a smoother transition. I don't mind, you know, good sharp turns in here, but more like that kind of rounded look there. And I've got a bucket underneath here that I'm just kind of sweeping this stuff into. And so, yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that. I like the way that sets. We're gonna have to run this on the joiner, and we're gonna have to square this off. And meanwhile, I've got this piece here, and now I don't even know if this piece is even gonna work. I was cutting this for the other one, and this is what I was getting measurements for when the other one rolled off. Yeah, I think we can still make it work. Yeah, we can still make that work. We're just gonna have to take off a considerable amount more than what we were gonna have to do with the other one. Make me a mark right here. Well, that didn't do any good. My biggest issue at the moment is dust collection. Dust collection is a really big problem for me right now. And I'm trying to fix it. I'm trying to work on it. It's just nothing seems to be coming together the way I want it to come together. All right, I'm gonna put the respirator back on. And then we're gonna sand this part right here. We're gonna flip it over. We're gonna do the other side. And then we're gonna come inside and we're gonna sand this area where I just tore all that stuff up out of there. Shit. Oh, that's the hook right there. Okay. I really hate these things. I mean, I really hate these things. Oh well. This thing will work the hell out of you. Scott DeVore's in the house. How's it going there, brother? Alright. Man, well, I'll tell you what. That sander right there will put your ass to work. So, this is kind of what it looked like before I sanded it. This over here. This is kind of what it looked like after I sanded it. Right? So, we're going to do this other side now. And then we're going to hit that inside a little bit more. Oh, man. This second side ain't as bad as the first side was. We'll move this over a little bit. Yeah, I think we're pretty good on the outside. We still got to do all the sanding around this outer edge. I don't know if I'm going to finish this tonight, but I'm going to get as far as I can with it. Let's see if we can hit this without knocking it all over the place. That's not what I wanted to happen. Alright. Let's get some clamps back on it. I really didn't want that to happen. That's how the last one broke. And I certainly don't want this one breaking. Let's just try just this one right now, for right now. I don't know, let's put another one on there. I really hate respirators. Have I said that? Have I told you all that yet? Wearing these always makes me feel like I'm in the gas chamber in the Army. And I hated that shit, for reals. Go ahead and put one right up here, because we gotta rotate this shit. Alright, let's see if that'll work. Get a little bit more sanding done in here. I'm going to have to do a lot of sanding by hand. And I'm not looking forward to that. Not one bit. I don't think I'm going to get a whole lot more done in this inside of this thing. I think we've pretty much gotten what we're going to be able to get. We're just burning it now. I'm getting this plastic rubber stuff all over it. Alright. It is what it is. We'll just do the rest of it by hand. At least on the inside of it. Let's go ahead and take these clamps off. They're not going to do me any good sanding it by hand. Really, they're just going to get in my way. Matthew Cleveland is in the house. How's it going there, brother? Thank you for dropping in. We are working on a project that we actually started about a week ago. But we started it with another cookie, another piece like this. And today while I was working on it, it kind of rolled off of my work booth here and hit everything on the way down and busted up, which really put a hell of a crimp in my plans. So we're having to start all over again with this one right here. Be right back. Don't go nowhere. I gotta get sandpaper. This right here ought to work just fine. I've got some sanding pads. These are awesome. I love working with these. But I need a little bit more aggressive grit for doing all this by hand. Let's move this back over here again where we can see. And man, if you come in here and drop in and watch for a bit, hang out with me, drop a comment or two. Let me know who's watching. Let me know how you found my channel. If you know, unless you know, we're pretty good friends and I already know the answer to that. Let me know where you're watching from. I do a lot of different types of work. I don't need this to be perfectly smooth in here. And as a matter of fact, I don't want it to be perfectly smooth in here. I want it to have that kind of rough, I guess you can call it a rustic look, right? But I also don't want it to be all jagged and ugly at the same time. So we're going to come in here and we're going to scrub this a little bit with some sandpaper. But no, I'm not going for a clean, smooth, refined look. That's not what we're doing here. This is definitely a rough, rustic piece, if you will. We've still got to hit this outside, but I think I can do that with the orbital sander, and I won't need that big aggressive sander that I've been using, that disc sander. I call it a power sander, right? 'Cause that thing comes in there and takes off some stuff really fast. All right. I think that might do us. What I want to do now is come around and hit some of this. But again, I think I can do that with this sander. I don't think I need that huge aggressive sander to do this. What the hell did I do? Unplug it? Yeah, my dumb ass unplugged it. Unplugged it because I wanted the cords out of the way. Yeah, that was not what I intended to do. God damn, I got sawdust in my eye. This is why you should be wearing eye protection, right? Mitchell's dropped in. How's it going? Lisa, I am working on that project I started the other day. As you can probably tell, I'm not using the same round that I started with. And as I've said a couple times already in the video, that is because today I was working on it and I was taking some measurements, and I left it kind of sitting like this over here towards the edge. It rolled off the table and it was open-ended on that top end, and it hit right on one of those arms and broke into 3 different pieces. Really frustrating. So I'm starting all over again. Same thing. I'm doing the same thing, just a different round. I don't know that I can finish this tonight. I'm probably not going to be able to, but I would have been done with it had I not messed up the other one. And I am going to try to get it done, or at least get it as close to being done as I can. And, you know, it's kind of frustrating, man. I know that everything doesn't always go according to plan. I mean, that's one of the cardinal rules of woodworking, is that nothing ever goes according to plan, right? Anything that can go wrong is bound to go wrong. I think woodworkers kind of have an amplified version of Murphy's Law. And, you know, that whole piece, from the time I started working with it, was problematic. It broke in half the first time I was using it, and that should have been my sign. That should have been my sign to just say nope, but I'm stubborn. And I took that as an opportunity to run it through the planer and get everything planed down right. Got it put back together, and then I had to cut out all the inside of it. And in order to do that, I had to change over the band, or the blade on my bandsaw. And that was a freaking nightmare. So that thing was just plagued with problems, but it still upsets me that, you know, it broke. So, so we're starting over again. We're building the exact same thing, but we're building it from scratch. We're doing it again with a different piece. The only difference is that I'm only going to have one of them now instead of 2 of them. Now is we're just kind of sanding all the bark off. I spent the first part of this video going through here and cutting out all the inside. I got all it in here. That's all the inside of it. And then we sanded this whole inside in here, and now we've sanded both sides of the outside in this part right here, which means that technically I could probably go ahead and move on to the next step. And the next step is actually over there on the jointer, right? And I guess what I can do is I can just pick this camera up, take it over there and reposition it, and we can start working on my joiner over there. what we're going to do is we're going to flatten this bottom. And so I think I've decided that I want this to be the base, the bottom. It's going to actually set just like this. And just so you guys know, I haven't told y'all what I'm building in the 3 times that I've come on video. I haven't told y'all what I was building. I was hoping that maybe it would generate enough interest that you guys might be willing to come in and watch pretty much every time I come in here. But you know, it is what it is. But I kind of want you to start seeing what it is that I'm trying to put together here. And so what this is actually going to be is a lamp. I'm building a lamp. That's what I'm doing right here. And what we're going to have is we're going to have this big ass bulb right here is going to set right in here, just like so. All right, this is going to be right in here. That is the plan. That's what we were building, and we were going to build 2 of these. So if you guys have been following me for any length of time, some of the people that have followed me for the last few years know that one of the things that I do love to build are lamps. I love building lamps, especially out of wood, and especially out of something that most people consider to be trash wood, right? And this is trash wood. I like doing all kinds of lamps, and over the next few months, you're probably going to see quite a few of them. I like doing lamps like this. I like doing lamps with what a lot of people term scrap wood. I hate the term scrap wood, right? To me, this is scrap wood, right? That's scrap wood. That stuff, scrap wood is stuff that you take and you throw in the trash, right? You throw it in the burn pile. Right? If I'm not putting it in the burn pile, it's not scrap. It's just stuff I haven't gotten around to using yet. So I like to use the term offcuts. So I like building lamps out of offcuts, right? Different shapes, different sizes, different ways of doing things. And I like building lamps using epoxy. So we have some of that coming up. As a matter of fact, I went and bought the materials to build a couple of forms so that I could do a couple of epoxy lamps. But for right now, let's relocate this this camera right here, and you know, I hope some of you guys get interested enough in what I'm doing to stick around and kind of watch a little bit, right? Instead of coming in for a minute or 2 and then burning off again. I'm unplugging everything right here so that I can move this. I have a very, very old jointer, and you guys have to excuse my shop. My shop is a disaster. It is one of the things. My jointer is right there. It's one of the things that I am in the process of working on straightening up. But at this point in time, all I'm doing is moving stuff from one place to another. Right? That's what we're doing here. We're just kind of moving stuff from one place to another. All right, we want this open. So what we're going to do here, I wish it was easy to just take that thing off. All right, I guess that'll work. I just need something to pry it open there. And this thing is fairly loud, so y'all just kind of bear with me. I'm going to move you kind of over here. Maybe you'll be able to see what I'm doing. All right. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to try to keep this up against the back fence. We're going to keep it in this standing orientation right here, and we're just going to keep running it across. Now my blades are kind of dull, so you know, we're just going to do the best we can with it. All right, here we go. Sorry about the noise. You can turn your volume down until you see me leave. with that. And so what we have now is a flat bottom, and that's what we're trying to get to. All right, let me pick y'all up, move you around over here. All right. Oh, Lord of mercy. I really don't think I'm going to be able to finish this tonight. I don't even know what time it is right now. According to that clock over there, it's coming up on 8 o'clock. All right, so now my next question. This leans this way, so this is going to be the front, right? This is where we're going to go in the front. And what we were building earlier today is we were working with this right here. Let me turn you guys around a little bit more. We're working with this right here. This is just a live edge piece of black walnut. And we were cutting a groove in it because we're going to build a base for it, right? So the base is going to go in here. And what I was doing is I was building that base when I was taking my measurements off of the other piece, and everything kind of went wrong and it fell off the table. And when it fell off the table, it ended up like this over here, right? Yeah, that's it right there. 3 pieces. So we're going to turn you around this way. Oh, 4 pieces. There's the 4th piece over here. Yeah, it just broke up. Really frustrating. All right, so what we need to do, and I didn't think about this until I got about halfway through with this, and that's that I've got a freaking dado stack. And this would be a whole lot easier to do with a dado stack. But who said I'm smart, right? Nobody's really ever accused me of being smart. So I'm doing this the hard way. And what you do is you set your depth as deep as you want it. We haven't moved it. And then we started coming this way, cutting this way. So the fence went back about 1/16 of an inch at every pass. And then we turned it, then we measured it up. We figured that we didn't have but about maybe a half, 3/4 of an inch space on this side. And I didn't want to eat up any more of that. So we started using up some of this back, and we started coming the other way with it. And that's where we stopped at. I was getting a measurement. I turned around, I walked off, and the damn thing rolled off the table and broke. So we've got kind of a rough measurement right here. We've kind of marked a line on here at where we need to go. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to do that again. And we're just going to come forward about 1/16 of an inch. I am not wearing any kind of safety gear, PPE, respirators, eye protection. And, that's just me. Y'all do what you feel comfortable with if you want to do something like this. Again, noise, we're going to get loud, right? So you can turn your volume down for a minute if you need to, because I'm not going to be talking much until I'm finished with this, and then we'll go to our next step, right? So here comes the noise. Shut that off for a second. We're going to do a test fit and see where we're at. We want it to be snug but not tight, right? We don't want to have to beat it in, but we also don't want it to be too loose. We are pretty close, so we're just going to take this and set it up here, we're going to move just one more space and then we're going to check it again. This is where things get a little slow. Yep, we're really close. Come in just a little bit more. We'll check this pretty much at every cut now. Okay, we are so close. And as a matter of fact, I think that we're close enough that I think I can sand that and get it where I need it to be. Let's flip you guys back around here. I think I can sand this. So let's see here. What was I looking at? Right here. Yes, there's a little hump right here where it's not going in at. Let me take care of that. All right, let's see here. And that does it. Just like that. So we want to come over a little bit. We are too far that way. Let's take this and turn it over. Let's take our base, move it this way, and there we go. We are down. That is it. Yeah, that is it right there. So, yep, check it out. All right, we're not done yet. We still got work to do, but this is what we're talking about right here. All right, so next, I may need to look around. And this is part of the reason why I'm probably not going to finish tonight, because I can never keep track of anything. I don't know where anything is at all. And I spend more time looking for stuff that I should know exactly where it is than I actually spend using the stuff that I bought. Oh, that's trash. Ha! I got a bag of trash sitting over here. Ain't that a bitch? All right, let's see. I anticipated today that this was going to be an issue, and so I bought a couple of extra pieces that I need here, just in case this problem did come up. And honestly, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time searching for this stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plan to use. I'm going to end up having to find the stuff in a minute anyway, because I at least need some of it. Give me 1 second. Ah, yes. There it is. All right, I found it. I'm not as dumb as I look. But I don't want to use this one. I don't want to use this one right now. I am going to need this cord. I am going to need this switch. I am going to need that switch. But these other ones I'm going to save for another time. And then I'm going to use this socket right here that I bought today. So let's open this up. And what I need to do right now is I need to decide or determine how big of a hole that I need right here. Because what I've got to do is I got to set this down inside here. Let me take this base off. Lord of mercy. Let me take this base off. I've got to set this down almost all the way through, right? And what we want to do is we want to come up as close to this middle as we can. But we need to keep in mind where our base is actually sitting at. So we're going to try to set this right about here. And in order to do that, let me grab this. And we're just gonna, it doesn't have to be perfect, that's the thing. But we want it to be pretty close. So we're just gonna make a mark right here. And I think that's gonna work just fine. Okay. All right, let me get my Forstner bit, and hopefully I got enough room in here for my drill. Honestly, I didn't even think about the drill. Yeah, I think we'll be able to do it. It's going to be tight, though. It is going to be tight. All right, so what we need here, that one's too small. I think that one might work. Hopefully we've got enough room. I'm a little concerned about the room. This is pretty tight. We'll get this Forstner bit set all the way down in here. I use the hell out of these Forstner bits. I use them a lot in wood turning to do a lot of the hollowing. All right, let's see here. Yeah, we got room. We want to get this nub, this little nib right here, and we're just gonna yeah, we are tight. Probably would have been better moving over a little bit. I could still move over just a hair. Yeah, that's better. I do believe that I'm going to need another battery before this is over. There we go. Yeah, I need a new battery. Hold on. Take that one out. All right, let's try this again. Woo! Boy, it's tight up in there. Come on. This is going to take a minute. what I do want to check, yeah, it's going to be a decent fit. Good, nice fit. Woo, man. We're getting there, but we've still got quite a ways to go. I mean, we want that entire thing set inside of there. So we've got a little ways to go yet. But we also don't want to go too deep. So we want to be deep enough, but not too deep, right? So we're just going to keep checking it. Pretty regular here till we get where we need to be. And we're starting to get close. Without a doubt, we are starting to get close. I am going to have to take a break here in a couple of minutes. Not because I need a break, but because I need my hot glue gun. All right, it's in my front shop in there, so I'm going to have to take just a few minutes. It won't take me very long to run up there, grab the hot glue gun, and come back once we get this, this part finished. So let's go a little bit further. Let me see here. What I need, really, I need that whole shaft inside of there. We are definitely making a mess. We're almost there. Yeah, we're getting pretty close. Getting pretty close. Didn't seem like we made much progress that round. Almost there. All right, just about there. Yep, just a hair more. Keep going until we're all the way inside. I think that right there will do it. All right, so the next step is to let that cool down for a second, because I am not grabbing that as hot as it is. And I need to drill another hole. I think we can use this one right here for this hole. And what we're going to do now is we're going to drill a hole straight through the bottom of this, all the way through, and that's going to allow our wires to be able to go all the way through here, right? So Sorry this ain't like a YouTube video where, you know, we knock this out in like 15 minutes, right? But that's just really not the reality of it. The reality of it is this stuff takes a little while. All right. I don't want to drill through my solid maple tabletop here. So, oh wow. Let's see if I can get that drill bit stuck down in there a little bit further. Because, yeah, we got that whole tight issue going all over again. All right, there we go. Man, that's not going straight. I think that I need to take a different tactic with that. Let's take that one out of there. Let's grab a small pilot bit. And let's hit a hole straight through. Now that Forstner bit's got a little nipple on the end of it right here that will give you the perfect center for putting your pilot hole. And we got through. So because we're so tight on this inside, what we did is we used a pilot bit to drill a hole all the way through so that we can come back in with this bigger bit and open that up a little bit. Okay, that's all we needed to do right there. Now we have a hole going all the way through here, and that will be good for getting our wire in. All right, this will set right down inside here. What we're going to do is we're going to use a hot glue gun, and we're going to fill this void here with hot glue. But before we do that, we're going to connect our cord. And before we do that, we're going to finish drilling these holes. So what we need to do now is we need to take this piece, we need to get it positioned back on here where we're going to put it. I got to make sure I know which way is front and which way is back, because I can really screw this up right now if I do it wrong. Alright, so we're going to take this and we're going to just kind of tap that in place right there. The best option that you would have is to have a marker and mark through that hole that you just drilled. But like everything else in my life, I don't know where I put the marker. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time looking for them. I've got like 5 of them. And I can, you know, they're probably all up in the front shop. They're probably all up there because I was using them the other day when I was doing the work up in the other shop. And I don't think I ever brought any of them back. So we're going to do the best we can with this little pin. And what we want to do is we want to get in there and we want to get a mark. As much as possible, we just want to get a mark. Okay. Now we're going to get this back off of here again. Hopefully our mark, Lord of mercy, that is not what I wanted to happen. All right. Now it is what it is, right? All right. Now then, we're going to line up right here. Take this, just kind of lay it on it. This isn't a real scientific way of doing this. And as a woodworker, I do have the proper tools to determine where I need to do this at. but I don't want to spend the time looking for it, so it doesn't have to be super precise. It just needs to be super close, right? Super close will work. All right, now what we're going to do is, it does not matter if we create a channel here on the top. That doesn't matter at all. What matters is that we don't create a channel on the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're just going to try to position this so that we've got enough meat left on the bottom. And I think that'll work, so that when I drill through this, okay, we're just going to go slow because we're not trying to tear anything up. This doesn't have to be absolutely precise. It just needs to be close. And so you see what I'm doing right here. If you can see, as the drill is coming through, it's creating a channel. And that is actually what we want. And so we created this channel which marked up with my hole, okay? And then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna sand that, all right? And we've got some ridges on here from when we were running it on the table saw. There's not a whole lot of them, but there is a couple. And so we're just gonna hit that with a piece of sandpaper and try to knock it off real quick. Again, they're not super important because we're gonna be gluing this whole thing down. But faster way to do this would just be to use my chisel, right? This chisel's dull though. Man, it's not too bad. This is actually the faster way to do this, is to use my chisel. Sometimes I don't do things the easiest way. Right? For a long time I did woodwork. I didn't have, shit for tools, right? And so I've always had to just kind of make do. And so sometimes I forget that I've actually got the tools that I need to do what I'm trying to do. And I don't need to do everything the hard way all the time. There we go. That'll work. We're just going to kind of go over this whole thing just a little bit here, just to smooth it out just a hair. But it's really not going to matter that much. We'll hit it with this sandpaper here real quick. Just a quick light tap with it. And then we want to hit this front. We want to do a little bit of our sanding. Now we're going to use the sanding. Good Lord of mercy. This is why you need safety glasses. And we're just going to hit this real quick to soften it up a little bit. We wanted to get the last part of that bark off there, but we're not trying to get everything off, right? Because we kind of want that roughed up look a little bit, right? We don't want this thing to look perfect. I mean, not perfect. We don't want it to look refined, I guess is the next word. rustic is kind of the theme I'm going for here, right? I want it to look kind of a rustic type look. Now then, now that we have that done, what we have right here is a 12-foot cord. And if I had any sense, I'd probably go inside my house to do the rest of this, because I'm going to spend forever cleaning this damn cord, because my dumbass is doing it out in the shop with a dirt floor, right? And but whoever said I had any sense, right? If anybody ever did say I had any sense, they lied to you. All right, so what we're going to do now is just going to feed that through here. This hole is bigger than we absolutely need it to be, but that's okay, because when we're done, we're going to fill this with hot glue, right? So, all right. I forgot which direction this is supposed to go. Lord of mercy, Stephen Neal. All right, let's see here. It's got that slight lean to the back. All right, yeah, that's right. That's the way it's supposed to go. And so we just want to feed that up through there. This doesn't need to go on here perfect right now. We just need to, yeah, we got enough room to move. But what we're going to do now is we're going to come to this piece right here. These, we're going to peel these off. See, we're peeling these off because we got to go two directions for it. It doesn't really matter which is which on this. What does matter, hey, I found my marker. I found the marker. Ah, you fucking dumbass. All right, what does matter is where my damn screwdriver's at. And then we're just going to loosen up these. You've got a white and a brass. Your white's your neutral. Uh-oh, we don't want to do that. Your white is your neutral, your brass is your hot. But on this, it doesn't matter. You can do either or. It's not going to make a slight bit of difference. Get that fit up in there. And then once we get this wired up, we have to do this wiring part first, or when we insert this and do the glue up, we're not going to be able to get anything up in here. And that would definitely end up being a mess. Okay, so we've got that in there. Let's get this tightened down. All right, there is that. Okay, I got to think about what direction this has got to go in there. You want to make your loop in your wire, and the loop needs to be facing the same direction that your screw is screwing in at, right? So you'll turn your loop clockwise or to the top as you're looking at the screw and get it inside of there, because you turn the screw to tighten it up, you turn it clockwise. And as you turn it clockwise, it pulls that wire and turns it in with the screw, which makes it tighter. If you do it counterclockwise and you face the loop the wrong direction, then what's going to happen when you go to pull your wire through, when you go to screw your screw in, is it's going to actually push the wire out of the screw, and we don't want that. Now, before we go any further and do anything else, we just want to do a quick test. So we want to plug this light in, or put this light in, screw it in, and we're going to make sure that everything works. we do not want to do this last, because if we do this last and we glue everything in and it doesn't work, then we're going to have a heck of a time getting it all back apart again so that we can figure out what we did wrong. And voila, we have light, right? We have no finish on it yet, right? We're not finished with it. We have quite a bit of cleaning left to do to it, but this is the very first look at what we're building here, right? This is what we're building. Now, I'm gonna try, and it's getting kind of late, so I don't know if this is gonna work tonight, but I'm gonna try to have this finished tonight. We'll see, or at least, you know, have it preliminarily finished, right? And unfortunately, tomorrow I'm not going to get very much stuff done because I've got some other commitments that I have to attend to tomorrow, and so I'm not going to be here for a good part of the day. And then Sunday we're going to. Ooh, I almost dropped that on that light. Let's not do that. We're going to go ahead and unplug that. We're going to undo that. We're going to put that light up before my dumb ass breaks it. And Popeye's in here. That's George Barber. He says, keep up the awesome work, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. And so I hope that you guys got the good sneak peek at this and you like what you saw, right? I hope you did, because I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's going to come out great. And this will be for sale this week. We will be putting this up for sale this week. All right, guys. It's time to take a quick break. It's not going to take me very long. We're going to keep the live running. We're not going to shut it down. I need to run up to my front shop. I need to grab my hot glue gun, stick of glue, and I need to come back here so that we can go ahead and finish getting this put in. We're going to glue this base down, so we're going to glue everything down into the base, and then we're going to let the hot glue and the glue set at least for a little while, and then we'll do a little bit more talking. But y'all stick around, don't go anywhere, right? Just because I leave for a couple minutes, don't run off. We're going to leave the live running, and then we're going to be right back. I just got to go get my hot glue gun real quick, and it's take me less than 2 or 3 minutes. So this is time for everybody to go take a bathroom break, get you a beer, grab you some tea, whatever, and come back and be ready to finish this with me here tonight. So give me just a couple minutes. Don't go nowhere. Don't run off. And I appreciate everybody for coming in. I will be right back. I promise. we are back. Told you it wouldn't take me very long. All right, we're back. I did stop by the refrigerator on the way back though to grab a drink because I am thirsty. I still got a little bit of glue in here. All right, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna get this hot glue gun plugged up. Oh. All right. We're gonna get this hot glue gun plugged up. It won't take very long to heat up. I'm running out of room to put stuff. Let me move some things around. Let me take that off because I don't need it. Let me set the glue gun right here. All right, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna peel this back off again. There we go. Peel that back off again, just kind of lay it over. Careful as I can here. Get my small bottle of glue. All I use is Titebond 3. I don't use any other kind of glue. I see no purpose in using any other kind of glue. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna get us a little bit of stuff going right here, get just a lot of contact right here, and we're just gonna spread it out a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're gonna get plenty of contact. All right. Okay, so we've got that, and now what we're gonna do, all right, we're gonna take this. This is where lining this stuff up is gonna matter a little bit. So we want that to be just like so. Get that on there. And let's get my mallet, which I just moved because I said I wasn't going to need it anymore. And let's just kind of get that nice and firm right on top of there. Let glue will dry. And I seriously do need to fix my mallet. All right. Okay. Now then, we want this still to come out. All right. The next step is going to see if we have this thing going yet. Yeah. All right, but we need this other glue stick. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to pour a bunch of hot glue up in here, right? A lot of it. Try to get it on as many of these surfaces here as we can. There we go. And then we're going to put it all along this piece right here. Just don't be afraid to use it. Get it on there. And then let's go ahead and get this pulled down in here before it dries. All right, we get this down in here nice and firm. Wipe off any excess. We are going to have to come in probably with a chisel. This stuff does dry fairly fast, so you kind of got to work quick with it. But now we've got a nice, strong, firm bond in here. That ain't going nowhere. Right? Let's get our chisel. The smaller chisel is actually probably better for this. And we'll just get some of this excess out of here. We don't want it on our wood. There we go. Get some of that excess out of there. All All right, like I said, we wanted this to be kind of rustic, right? So we're not going for that high gloss, high, nice finish, 400 grit sandpaper stuff, right? Now, while our glue is still hot, we've got this hole right here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're just going to fill that, right? Just pump stuff down in there. There you go. That'll work. You don't really want it to overflow very much, but you do want it to be, pretty good in there, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to give that cord some support. There we go. Let that go ahead and harden in there real quick, and then have a little bit of overflow here. Get it before it hardens. I'm not so much worried about it being on the wood. We can sand it off the wood. I'm not too worried about that. I really just don't want it making the cord real ugly right here, right? All right. So I think that's about the best we're going to be able to get. Let that just kind of harden like that. And then that cord should be nice and secure. And that glue in there will act like a cord grip. It'll give it some protection so that it doesn't get pulled and yanked around a lot. So we filled the other end with glue, with hot glue, and so it's protected on both sides. LED lights do not put out a lot of heat, right? Marshall, how's it going there, brother? He's like, got ice yet? No, sir. No, that machine probably ain't never getting fixed, brother. Right? All right, we've got all that part done. Let's stand her back up. All right, let's stand it back up. Now, we checked this once already. We know it works, but we've done a few things to it since we checked it. So we're just going to check it again. All right, we're going to put this bulb back in it. And we're just checking it, right? Making sure that everything is good here. Let me turn this around a little bit. There we go. Let's get that just like that. And let's go ahead and plug this thing in. All right. And that is that. So the next step is we're going to let this glue dry for a few minutes. But that is it, man. That's what we're doing here. And the next step is going to be to put the switch on it. Get a drink of that Coke. So let's unplug it. Let's take this bulb back out of it. Still being a little gentle with it because it's not, everything's not cured. I'm going to put this bulb back in here because I am accident prone. So we're going to put this bulb back in here. We're going to set this somewhere where I'm not going to damage it. We're unplugged. We are not plugged in. And what we're going to do now is scramble and try to remember where I put my wire strippers at. God damn it. Well, I tell you what, I would lose my head if it wasn't attached. I'd probably lose it if it was attached. There we go. Alright. So what I need now are my wire strippers. And what we want to do, we have a 12-foot cord here. And what we want to do is we kind of want to figure out where exactly we want to put the switch. And it's a very simple switch. You're only going to cut one. Where are we at here? I ain't cutting shit if I can't find the damn switch. There it is. You're only cutting one side of your wire. You're not cutting both sides. Okay. And then so what we're going to do is we're going to unscrew this just like so. Take our switch apart very carefully. Come on. Shit. Of course, we got 5 yards worth of screw going through here. Well, ain't that a bitch? Okay. All right. This one's a little bit different than the ones I've used before. I don't even need the wire strippers for this one. I just need to make sure that's going to go on right. Okay. This is a little bit different than the ones I've used before. This has what's called a piercing connector on it. All right. And of course, it's been a few years since I've wired one of these, but this has got a piercing connector on it. My phone is in the red. Let me plug that in real quick. The advantage to the piercing connector is that I don't have to strip this thing at all. It's going to take care of itself. And so what I need to do here is I need to figure out where we're going to put this, and we do need to separate these wires. I'm going to use my chisel for this. And let's see, I think maybe right about here would be good. We want to be careful not to split. We just want to cut where the cord comes together, right? We don't want to cut into the sheath on either side. And we did that just fine. Alright, then this one is going to fit right inside this channel here. If I can get the damn thing to fit in there. There we go, right inside that channel there. And that is where the piercing connector will go. Okay, so lay both those in there. Let's get them pressed in there. Then we're going to take this side and we're going to put it on you got 2 little guide pins in there to make sure you put it on right. And as long as those are lined up good, you should be good to go. Now as you tighten it down, that piercing connector should make contact. And if we did everything right, then we should be able to plug this back in and turn everything on. And we're either going to blow some shit up and have to take all this apart, put a new cord on here, or we're going to be good. Lord of mercy, I got too much pressure on it. Can't turn the wheel. There we go. Let's see. Alright, I just heard the click. Nothing blew up. Of course, I don't have a light bulb in here either. Alright, let's try it one more time, see if this works. Alright, we have light. If our switch works, our switch isn't working. Yeah. The switch is not working. Okay, no problem. Alright, unplugged the wrong damn thing. Alright, let's unplug it again. You know what? I'm a dumbass. I am a straight dumbass. No, for real. Alright. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm a dumbass. Give me 1 second here. I know what I did wrong. Yep, I know exactly what I did wrong. Alright. I do have to cut this wire. And I don't know why. Hey, I'm a fucking idiot. I've never claimed to be that smart. You know what I mean? So, alright. Yeah, I know exactly what I did wrong. Just give me a second. We're gonna get it going. In my defense, this isn't the type of switch that I normally use. But it is the only switch that I could get a hold of right now. So, so it is what it is, right? Alright. Okay. I'm in another one of them situations where I need like 3 hands. It'd be nice if I had some grandkids to come over and give me a hand. teach me all the new slang. This still may not work. I may have to fix one more thing. It all depends on this piercing connection. All right, let's plug it back in. But I do know what the problem was and why it didn't work. Okay. There we go. There it is. There it's off. Now it's on. There it's off. I love it when a plan comes together. All right, let me unplug this glue gun before I end up gluing a bunch of stuff I don't need to be gluing. We are on the last stage of this now. We are almost done with it. So what is left, and it's just going to be a little bit of tedious work right now. We're good on our sanding. I'm happy with where we're at with this. I don't need it. Like I said, I'm not looking for that glass-like refined finish, right? I'm going for exactly the look that I've got going right here. But we've got some of these crevices down in here that need to be touched, and we need to get some of that stuff out of there. And so it doesn't really matter what grit sandpaper I use. We just need to get something down inside of here, and we need to do a little bit of sanding work. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. We're going to undo this one more time. Put it back in the box yet again. We are going to sell this lamp for $120. And that's the price tag I'm putting on it. I really would like somebody to buy it and appreciate it. You know, somebody that just really appreciates this type of stuff. But if nobody decides to buy it, we're going to take it to our markets, and this will be on display at our markets for the rest of this year. And if it does not sell by the end of the year, then this will become one of my lights, right? This will be my light. I will keep it for myself because I really like it. My business does not make money if I don't make any kind of sales, right? And everything that I sell is goes back into my business. And hopefully eventually we'll sell enough stuff that we're going to be able to get a brick and mortar spot, a brick and mortar building, a shop with a full-size bandsaw mill. That's the goal. And that's what we're working towards. That's where we're trying to get. So every slab that I sell, every piece of art that I sell, every cutting board, charcuterie board, every plaque, it's going to better my family and get us to the point in my family where we can do better, right? Or we can do well, because we're barely getting by as it is. And I know most everybody is in the same spot. But it can be rough sometimes, right? And this isn't just a hobby for me. This is our business. I put my life into this. So yeah, I want my stuff to sell, but I'm happy enough with this piece. I like this piece enough that if it doesn't sell, I have no problems at all with this becoming a permanent part of my house, right? That's how much I like this thing. So, 120 bucks, it's yours. I do custom CNC signs. I do plaques. And I'd be happy to work with you. I would hope that people would share my business out, invite people to come and check it out. But I also want to inspire people, right? Like, I really want people to be like, man, I would love to build something like that. I hope that I can inspire woodworkers to get out and to create and to represent this community in a really positive manner, right? So that people can get back to a point where they value woodwork, custom handmade woodwork, over something from IKEA or something from Walmart that has no real value and no real longevity. You know what I mean? You know, this stuff from Walmart, this stuff from IKEA, this stuff from Target, this stuff's not going to last very long, right? But something like this right here, this will last for generations. This is stuff that you could pass on to your grandkids. This is stuff, you know, that could become a permanent part of your house, right? And you ain't got to worry about it going bad in a couple of months because it's made out of particle board. So, yeah, I would love to be able to inspire people. You know, but I also want to sell stuff, and I want my business to grow. I have put every ounce of energy that I have over this past year into building our business up to the point where I have neglected a lot of things. I have put a lot of things over this business, trying to get it built up. And we have done a great job. My wife has been really supportive. She shows up at our events. She helps me set up. She helps me sell stuff. She helps me run the booth. She helps me keep track of things. She gives me some good ideas. Sometimes I think she says she likes stuff that really she doesn't like. Yeah, you know, but hey, right now what we're doing is we're digging out some of this dust out of here, getting it out of here so that we can apply our finish. We're going to apply the finish tonight. I don't need to worry about this thing drying. The hot glue is already dried. The base ain't going nowhere. It's a tight fit as it is, and it's going to dry. So I'm not worried about that. This thing has really came out really great. I am so happy with it. But it's really going to look good once we get that finish on it. And I think we may be there. Okay, let me grab my air gun real quick. Hopefully it won't kick this freaking air compressor off again. Let's blow it out. All right, let's blow this thing out real quick. Went into that buffer state there for a second. For all intents and purposes, once we get this tung oil on here, it's finished. But technically it's not done, because it's going to take 2 coats of tung oil. It takes 24 hours for the tung oil to set. And then once the tung oil has set, we're going to come back in with another coat of lacquer for a finish over the top coat. And we'll probably do 2 coats of those. Now, lacquer dries really fast. So the tung oil, unfortunately, does not dry really fast. So once we put this tung oil on here, you're kind of really going to get a chance to see what it's going to look like. And this is going to be a bit of a slow process because we have a light socket right here that I don't want to pour tung oil into. But it's not going to be done until we get that lacquer finish on it. So we're going to put a coat of tung oil on tonight, and then tomorrow we're going to put another coat of tung oil on there. This is probably going to take 2 coats of tung oil tonight, because this is all end grain, and end grain is notoriously thirsty. So that I expect this to really kind of soak this in pretty fast. As a matter of fact, for this part right here, I can probably go ahead and just lay this down like so. And we can be a little bit careful about pouring it, but that'll get us out of here a little bit faster. All right. Tung oil, you want to use light coats, but with that being said, and you want to build up tung oil, it's better with tung oil to put multiple light coats on than it is to put one super heavy coat on. All right, but with that being said, end grain is very, very thirsty wood. And so because end grain is very thirsty wood, sometimes that first initial run of tung oil needs to be fairly heavy. And when it's done soaking in, it's actually going to be a light coat, right? Even though you kind of put it on heavy, because this end grain is going to soak this stuff up pretty quick. We want to get it down into this crack here, so it soaks up in there. There we go. Let's get that down in there. This is stuff that you really do want to wear gloves while you're working with. Tung oil can be pretty rough on your hands. Let's see, we're going to pour this directly on here. We're going to let this, there we go, let this rag kind of diffuse it a little bit. Best we can anyway. And after about 5 minutes, if you have anything still sitting on the surface, you can go ahead and you can wipe that off after about 5 minutes or so. But with end grain, that's generally not going to be a problem, because like I said, this stuff is really, really thirsty. Okay. Just kind of wipe it on as best you can. That's kind of what we're looking like here. Let's get this. This is going to be a mess. All right. I put the rag up there to try to absorb some of this stuff so it didn't just kind of run down like a waterfall. We only lightly sanded this outer bit here because I wanted that kind of rough look where you could see kind of some of the scarring in the tracks and the different color, between the what's called the phyllium, which is the inner bark, and the sapwood. I want to get it worked up in there. It takes a little bit of time. And you could use a foam brush, or for that matter, you could even use a paintbrush. And either way would go pretty easy. I don't like using the foam brushes, even though for this it's honestly fine. I just don't like it. I don't like the foam brushes, so I don't ever buy them. So I've never got them. On something like this, it would be perfectly fine to use. There'd be no problem with using it on this. But because I don't have any, I don't use them. Ernest Johnson's like, gloves. Yeah, brother, you know me, brother. You know me. I don't wear it very often. I'm bad about PPE. Arnie gets on me all the time. Ernest Johnston. He gets on me all the time because I suck at wearing PPE. But hey, brother, you'd be proud of me tonight. Dude, I wore my respirator tonight while I was doing all this sanding, and I wore the gloves, right? Shit. I went all the way out today. Used the respirator and the gloves. Oh, man. This is a process, man. This is a process, which is, part of the reason why when I sell this lamp, it's going to go for $120. And honestly, I think that's a pretty fair price. Especially considering all the work that I've got in it. I really think that $120 is a fair price. But even market-wise, if you could find a lamp similar to this for sale, this size, black walnut, this type of wood, all that, I think, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're going to be hard pressed to find one for less than $120. My personal opinion, and if you can find one for less than $120, I would just hope that it's a quality piece and it's, that it's at least as big as this one. I priced a couple of these lamps not too terribly long ago, and the ones that I priced came out at $320 for one of them, and $269 for the other one. And both of them were decent. I'm not going to try to downplay quality of either one of them. They were both decent, but they really weren't this big. They used really small bulbs, so neither one of them were anywhere near the size of this one here. All right, we are Slowly getting there. Once we have this coat on here, we can consider this finished. But again, we're going to have to put another coat of this on tomorrow. But if somebody were to come in and say, dude, I want that lamp, right? Then it would be theirs. They could pay me for it. I would finish it out for them and get it delivered to them. And one thing I can guarantee you is that you may find another lamp like this, but you ain't never going to find this lamp again. This is one of a kind. There is not another just like it. Trying not to touch the cord with my hand because tung oil does leave a residue. I can clean it off with alcohol if it does get on there, but it does leave a residue. Okay, guys, that's it. I am not going to put the light bulb back in it and turn it on. As a matter of fact, I better unplug the damn thing. It's still plugged in. That is it. Because the reason I'm not going to do that is because tung oil is flammable, and we certainly don't want to add electricity to a freshly applied flammable product. So we will not turn this back on again until this tung oil has completely dried, which is going to take about 24 hours. And then we're going to add another coat to it. That's it, guys. What do you think? All right. What's everybody's opinion? That's the back side. This is the front side. What do you guys think? We'll get pictures of this put up tomorrow. At some point tomorrow, we will we'll take some pictures of it. We'll put the light bulb in it. We'll turn it back on. Probably before we do our second coat of tung oil. Arnie says, awesome job. Hey, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. And Lisa Mitchell, absolutely beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Unfortunately, for those of you guys that didn't catch the earlier part of the video, this is not the round that I started with. The one that I started with is on my table sitting over there, broken into 4 different pieces because it rolled off my table today, hit everything on the way down, and didn't have any support under those open ends and broke up. So it was probably for the best. I would much rather that happened here in my shop than to happen in somebody's house, you know. It would have really upset me if that had happened in somebody's house. So I guess that I can count it as a blessing that it happened here before I sold it and got it sent out to somebody. This one, it does not have that open end on it like the other one did. So this one is supported all the way around. So maybe it was the best thing that happened. And from now on, when I go to make stuff like this, I will plan it with pieces that are solidly supported all the way around and not with pieces that have an open open top, because that open top leaves too much area for flex and for things to go wrong. I guess it's late enough and I've accomplished something today that I'm really very happy with and quite proud of, to be honest with you. So what we will do is we're going to just go ahead and put this up. We'll take a couple pictures of it. I'm going to put the bulb back in it before I take the pictures, but I'm not going to light it up, because until this stuff dries, it is flammable, and I don't need to be, I don't want the scorched, what do they call it, shuggy bond, whatever the fuck that is, where the new trend where you have to burn everything. Yeah, I'm not trying to do that. I don't like that shit. It's not my style. I'm not trying to do that. So thank you guys for watching. Thank y'all for coming in. I really appreciate those of you that stuck through the whole thing. And that does definitely mean a lot. If anybody knows anybody that might be interested in buying this, let me know, right? I'm trying to sell it. We're not trying to keep it, right? We'll catch you later on. Y'all take care. Peace out.